So let's start with introductions going around the room. I'll start. My name is Matt Caldy. I'm Vice Chair. And we can go in whichever direction. Someone doesn't have a full mouth.
David Parker, Commissioner.
Megan Murphy, Commissioner.
Mike Whitman, Commissioner. Don Eggert, Commissioner.
Bethany Ferry, Commissioner. Milana Keeley, Fellow.
Linda Thompson, Liaison.
All right, next on the agenda is approval of December minutes. Hope everyone got a chance to see those and send out any edits if they had them. Do we have to do roll call vote if we don't even have anyone online?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so.
So
I think so.
I would
We're
accept,
online.
that's fair, hybrid meeting. Accept a motion to approve of December's minutes.
So
One second. All right. Go around the room. Dave. Okay. Megan.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Don.
Aye.
Betsy.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. And it's passed unanimously. Next up is public comment. Do we have a member of comment, member of the public online or in person who would like to speak? Seeing none online or in person, we move past public comment on to new business. New business begins with discussion of officers and of working groups for 2023. Linda, would you like to introduce that?
sure. It was really meant to be just a reminder. I guess I shouldn't have written discussion, but Sam wanted us to talk about it, and for anyone that was interested in being an officer, to think about it and think about what kind of working groups you want to be on, and maybe we can rearrange, which one's active, which one isn't. But we'll do that, I guess, after we decide on our priorities.
Okay, so yeah, no official plans to align the working groups tonight then, just something to think about moving into the February meeting, I suppose?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't do nominations for officers or anything, just straight.
No, not yet. And the reason is because terms aren't up until January 31st. And so, if we nominated Mike to be chair, but the mayor, I think the piece of appointment from the mayor's office decided they didn't want him anymore, then that would be awkward.
That would be well.
That happened to me once.
So that's why we don't vote until February. And Sam will be making, I don't know if he remembers this or not, but he'll be creating a nominating committee. And basically that's the steering committee that will get together and, ask people if they want to be certain officers, and if you want to be an officer, let them know, etc.
Do you think, since basically that elections committee didn't get established between the December meeting and now, that we should just create that?
Yeah, actually, I think that'd be a good idea.
Dave and Mike, would you be willing to be the election committee this year?
Well, I'm an officer. Am I already on it?
Yeah. I think the election committee is the officers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say last time it was just three. As it turns out, our three longest tenured members here, but
Rules change all the time.
Change all the time. What I was going to suggest was that Dave and Mike make up the elections committee, send them an email at your convenience between now and February's meeting, saying whether you would like to be in one of the officer positions. If they don't hear much of anything from anybody in the next couple of weeks, and it's getting closer to that meeting, you may receive an email from one of them saying, hey, would you like to try such and such position, because we're looking to get at least one individual at each position of chair, vice chair, and secretary/treasurer before the start of the February meeting. So as long as you guys are okay with receiving emails from interested parties and possibly soliciting interest if we don't have enough. I think that'd be a great election committee if you guys are up for it.
I'm willing to stay on it.
I believe that pretty well covers our first order of new business. The second order of new business is pretty much what this whole meeting is about. It is the bucket list or project priority meeting for this coming year on the commission. We utilize this whiteboard behind us. We all give suggestions and people vote and tally it up. And it's not just one winner necessarily. We can have many projects. What do you think logistically is the best way to start? Actually, anybody who emailed theirs because they wouldn't attend here or wouldn't be able to attend tonight, should we start by?
Well, we could, but it wouldn't be fair to put all Perry's things.
Well, no, traditionally one per person. Maybe two.
Although I can envision at least 3 out of her 4 someone suggested.
Okay, so maybe it'd be best to save them for last.
Okay.
We'll see what's left. Would any brave individuals here in person, possibly with 3 hands, possibly done with their food or just willing to pause, wants to present an idea for a priority and or someone with better handwriting than myself, write a short version of it up on the board behind me?
I can be the marker for fun.
Thank you very much. Let's see, the priority item that I was thinking about is something we talked about last meeting, and I feel like it's kind of a no-brainer, but still I wanted to officially put it out there to promote and utilize our habitat connectivity plan. I don't know exactly how we plan to spread that and get people involved, but promote habitat connectivity plan. So, hopefully there's at least one winner. If not, maybe we can rob another room.
I guess one thought that I have with the habitat would be having maybe members of the commission being willing to reach out to the neighborhood associations, which may mean attending either online or in person some of their meetings.
So this is, just to be clear, not a bucket list suggestion. It's just a comment on that one and how we might execute it.
Yeah, it's sort of a thought that definitely as far as part of an outreach program for that if we can get the neighborhood associations interested, and particularly I'm thinking in terms of the our targeted areas that are not very green and necessarily high income.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that outreach will probably have a large role in this, should we choose it as one of our priorities, which naturally I hope we do, because it's a pretty low in terms of time consumption, so it can be one of many priorities. But would anyone else like to volunteer a bucket list item next?
This one we've also already discussed, and I think it's closely related, but I think revamping our outreach plans and activities, including identifying clear goals for those activities, and developing the materials to use as we do those. And largely here, I think we are regularly spending time on outreach, doing events, and I think it makes sense to be more intentional about how we do it.
So really lean into outreach.
And I think one of the things I'm thinking in terms of is particularly with listening into last week's Sustainability Commission meeting. If they're serious about having communication, we need to be thinking in terms of maybe us being engaged, because so many of the things that they're talking about, such as heat, the cities and county having a heat response plan or mitigation. I think that our expertise of people on the commission, our commission, we all have potential to contribute. As an example, one of the things while listening to them last week that I was thinking about is, okay, the city and county are developing a plan, document, I guess, for heat waves. We have knowledge about the green cover, and also one of the things that struck me was that if they are going to develop a response plan, there needs to be having worked with the city of Evansville and Vanderbilt County on earthquakes. From my experience with Vanderbilt County and Evansville, is if you're going to have a plan, it needs to be tested both initially with a tabletop exercise and then possibly with a actual deployment training exercise. We actually find out if there's bugs in your plan. And one of the bugs, of course, is always in any form of response plan is communication. And so I mean, I participated at the state and city and county level on these exercises, and I recognize the importance of training.
Do you have a priority item prepared for us tonight, Don?
Pardon?
You have an item for the bucket list for the board?
I would have a bucket list of basically being ready to write letters of support to the city administration, council, and also to the county commissioners and council that stress the importance of, and also the other hazard, of course, is flooding. So if you're going to have flood plans, you have to, the purpose of FEMA has very good training, stresses the importance of planning and training to test your ability to actually, when you have to actually go out and do it.
What's the name for what you want to do?
Yeah.
What should we put up there?
Training exercises, I guess, would be a generic description of the heat multi-hazard, but and the two most logical, of course, there's definitely city and county have storm mitigation or response plans. If they're now getting flood and heat response plans, it should be, cover a number of them.
So is this more about letters of support for that? Because basically, or were you suggesting that we develop or draft plans ourselves?
Because it would be involved with the planning itself, particularly on flooding and heat and possibly even severe weather type events. So we should have some input. We've looked at the drainage basin for creek that goes to the south west sector of town, Clear Creek, and that's the most likely, potentially the most dangerous of as far as thinking in terms of flood.
Okay, so your item would be participate in training plans for climate emergencies, basically.
Climate, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would cover it all pretty much, because heat, severe weather, flooding.
Okay, thank you.
My question is, does it make any sense to keep an air quality committee, given that we don't have any instruments to do anything? And,
I'd say, even though this is a little off topic, that my suggestion on that would be for the air quality working group to get together and talk about if they want to redirect it or just table it.
Yeah, my take would be that a working group, especially even if it's dedicated to one specific thing like that, can do a lot more than measure. We can research things, can write reports, can reach out to people. We will need to meet again at some point and figure out kind of collectively what direction we want to go in. I've been trying to work on an air quality report that I have not committed enough of my time to just yet. Be happy to share that with people at the next working group meeting there. In fact, the one thing Sam did text me in addition to not making it tonight is his most important item would be keeping the air quality working group going. And I'm not sure that constitutes a bucket list item so much because I didn't see it as being threatened, but for Sam, we can put up on the board, keep air quality working. Yeah. Yeah, because I more think it's not a thing we necessarily have to put votes on, because I don't think anyone's trying to eliminate it, straight up. But
well, it would be a priority program for us, I think.
Particularly one of the things that's about that is air quality would be on ozone. If you're having a heat wave, the ozone action issue becomes important. Being able to understand the impact of when you have a temperature inversion, the air quality can go to hell in a handbasket, and really we could provide information to support city, county.
Yeah, we can talk.
That's where I think our air quality thinking would actually potentially pose a problem would be occurring during a heat wave. It could be life-threatening.
Well, I'm sure we'll be able to talk more about air quality, particularly within that working group. We have more bucket list items for tonight. Dave or Mike?
Well, a couple of mine have already been mentioned, and I had some others that I didn't particularly like any of them, but I guess one thing we might do is work with the city and be close to try to have more coordination about what they're doing and what we're doing, and not being redundant and doing the same things and that sort of stuff. And for outreach, I'll mention one thing that occurred to me is, after talking to a friend, is we should promote electric mulching lawnmowers. Right, much better on carbon emissions, and this guy said that the batteries they have now, they work really well, and they're a lot quieter.
And we don't have to limit that partnership with BCOS, because we actually probably, even though it's not real obvious, probably work closer with the tree commission than we do with BCOS. And then there's also the bike ped commission.
For which commission?
Bike Ped Commission.
I just mentioned, since BCOS has started, nobody ever in the administration ever played umpire and told us what they're doing, what we're doing. So
Right.
it's always been a mystery. Maybe it's never going to get solved.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point that we need to collaborate more. Similar to like what I said for Sam's, I'm not sure it's a thing we need to vote on because I think we should make an effort to collaborate more both with them and County Environmental Commission, kind of regardless. But I think it's a great point. If you want to promoting the electric mulchers though, that's right on the border.
Do we have any vacancies in our?
I'm sorry?
Do we have any vacancies now in our commission? One of my suggestions would be to have a BCOS member and an environmental commission member become on both commissions.
Oh, to be on the commission. Yeah, that's,
We've had that before.
that would be something that we'd have to change in the ordinance.
We had one sitting in our meetings.
We have. And, you know, with one of the ideas that I had that I wasn't going to put up as anything on the list because it really would go along, it would go under the outreach program. But I thought it would be really a good idea this summer if the EC sponsored a picnic or something and invited BCOS, Tree Commission, and Bike Ped Commission, and maybe the county EC too.
When did I also toss in Parks Department?
It's a big picnic.
Park Commission.
Right, I don't know what commission that would be.
Well, because
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because I know that I work closely with Parks on our issues.
ERAC, right?
it's what I meant to say.
I mean, before we even gotten to voting on anything, I'm excited for all the work outreach is going to do this year. It's a whole lot on the outreach plate. Betsy, do you have anything to put up here yet?
I think I'm still trying to get familiar with activities that we've done and are doing. I think the biggest thing I was thinking about, I don't know if this is a bucket list item, because again, I'm not totally sure like what's within the realm of the commission, but I think doing some sort of cleanup, and there's a lot of IU students and organizations that have community service requirement to like be in those organizations. And so I think sponsoring some sort of cleanup or, you know, some sort of green event, whether it be that or donation thing to avoid things going to landfill, some like tangible event like that where high school students, college students could get some of that community service, but again, so
Even, you know, kind of doubles as outreach as well.
right, outreach idea.
Well, friends of Lake Monroe do cleanups at the lake pretty often.
I think it's about this time.
Yeah.
I give you permission.
Go ahead. Have you proposed one yet?
We're talking about the air quality.
Yeah, that's right.
Has anything come out of the mayor's office about their desire to use the commissions?
Say it again.
Has the mayor's office done anything, or it just sort of become a dead subject as far as the potential combining, reducing the number of commissions?
I have no idea, Don. I haven't heard anything lately.
Because it seemed from the listening in, the BCOS is that haven't heard anything.
No, they talked about it. They paid for a board and commission for a consultant to create an evaluation of boards and commissions and everything. And then I never heard, nothing's happened. I've asked about it a couple times and nothing has happened from that.
Asking seems like reminding, I'm just not going to talk about it.
Well, yeah. No, I agree with you.
Everyone who's opposed to it keeps talking about it.
And
Doesn't seem like a strong need there. Just let it not happen.
that's right.
Linda, Alana, anybody else, even if you're not a traditional commissioner, throw anything up on the board?
Well, my priority was to promote the habitat connectivity plan. But, you know, all of these really fall under outreach, because the only way we can, I mean, the plan is sort of written. I mean, there's not much to it. It's the plan is written. It can always be tweaked and stuff. But now we're at the point, the only way to get it actually, the only way we can do anything is via outreach.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an exciting thing about everything that's been proposed so far. Usually it's like, oh no, which couple do we have room for? It seems like we can do almost everything up there.
Right.
It's just a matter of how much time and attention and energy we're able to give.
And you know, sometimes we have one big project, like we're going to write this all-encompassing report about something. And the only thing I can think of that we need to do is update the Becky report, because we're supposed to do that via ordinance, and that hasn't been done in a long time.
Which, sorry,
The Bloomington Environmental Quality Indicators report.
So big project.
And we could possibly, I mean, it was real long and complicated. We could just take what we have and narrow it down and make a one-page report out of it.
I was going to say, didn't Ben work on essentially a chapter before taking off?
Yes, yes, he
It
did.
needed editing.
Yes.
Yeah, I might have to. That's one of the first things that is not an outreach item, that we'll have to figure out what we're doing with that and how thorough to be.
But yes, and that is, that would fall under Carrie's reports, where we go through all the old reports and decide what needs to be updated, what doesn't, what needs to be maintained in the archives, etc.
And I might mention on that that history of the Environmental Commission I did the year before last included a list of all the reports we've ever done, and not just the reports themselves, but a list, so that could get started.
Right, that'd be a great starting point.
and it'd be interesting also to find supporting data. I mean, I know that parks and MCIRs are starting to come up with definite metrics of what they accomplished that could feed into something like that, as far as being able to document.
Yeah, that's a great idea, to reach out to them for numbers.
But again, one of the things to me about the environmental status of Bloomington, diversity, connectivity, that's fundamental. Does everything from issues related to mitigating runoff, biodiversity of the community, being able to, the value of being able to go into parks and see something more natural. I mean, I've been touched by the fact that while working this past few weeks in Southeast Park, a number of park people or visitors in the park have noticed the fact, the improvement over the last several years of what park department, et cetera, has done to the park, which is a positive.
Sure is. Well, and I jumped in a while ago. What
it was a habitat connectivity plan.
Oh,
Yeah, we're on the same.
Well, Was there anything else from Carrie's email that you think we should specifically get up on board?
Well, she had 5 things. The first one was reports, and that was just to review all the old reports and see what we need to update and what we don't. The second one is collaboration. And that is basically just collaborating with other boards and commissions, it looks like. And I think that falls, and number 3 was outreach. And she suggested identifying 3 specific actions we want to focus on and talking about that next meeting. And number 4, did I say she had 5 things? She only had 4 things, I can't count. Grants, for someone to look into the potential for grants. Now, my personal opinion is we need to have a project first. Yeah, I mean, this kind of happened last time. Well, let's get a grant. Let's get a grant. And then when I think about it, when I think about going to Scott to ask for, if we can apply for a grant, it's like, well, what do you want the money for? And how much do you want?
That'd be more of a subsidiary thing. Once you pick the project,
Yeah, I think so too. So to me, it's not something that probably should be on that list.
And other suggestions are already pretty well represented.
Yeah, and then Connor sent one, and his was to use our outreach efforts to educate people on easy ways they can make their households more environmentally friendly, like planting native plants, leaving fall leaves, composting food, and things like that. And again,
we're outreach heavy at this point.
We really are. I mean, this is like the first time I can remember being so outreach heavy.
I'll throw out what made it jump out to me is that, going to the outreach events and before then, just like, okay, what are we going to this event to do? What should we bring? What should we talk to people about? Right. That if we're spending time on it, we should make sure we're smart about it.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. I'd like to make a kit.
Yeah. Maybe an adult kit, a kid kit, right?
Yeah, we talked about going through our documents, brochures, bookmarks, all the things,
right.
Deciding what we like, what we want to revamp. That's already a good starting point for outreach and will probably be needed at events. I think kind of the bigger, broader issue to me with outreach is we have like a lot of really great ideas and not a method for getting them to people. I mean, we have a Facebook group with a small following. There's probably old email lists with some people still.
We've got a ton of the ones we made. We've got a ton of them left.
And then there's tabling, which is good. We just need places to do it at. But I think maybe our largest outreach challenge would just be figuring out how to get before more eyes and ears. Because if we choose to pursue a project like the volunteer event for public, which I think is a great idea, how do we see to it that people know about it and know how to participate in it? Because when we did our speaker forum the other year, which I thought was really great, we didn't really know how to promote it. And so it was pretty much just us and our speakers. So I think that's going to be a big hurdle for outreach is figuring out how to reach out more effectively.
One summer we had a particular member who volunteered to table at the farmer's market most every Saturday. And that turned out to be, I thought that sounded like it was really successful. You reach a handful of people and you're kind of preaching to the choir, but all the choir members don't know everything about everything.
I did a lot of those. That was okay. I mean, it didn't reach a ton of people, but anyone who felt like coming and asking you a question, you were right there.
Right, and at least what you were saying wasn't falling on deaf ears.
Well, again, one of the thoughts I have is that if we do table, it might be a good idea to have some approach for bringing with us some of our partner commissions. So it's not, we can have people that have some expertise. It also, to me, would be a great opportunity to find out at the farmer's market to find out what's concerns people in the community actually have. And take the opportunity to ask them, what are your concerns versus, and some, what we could then pass on and potentially help take action on.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think to find a meaningful project, you have to identify issues in the community first. And having community input is one of the best ways to develop a list of the issues and see what more people are talking about, what seems to be coming up more often. So I think that's a good first step before you can find a meaningful project.
The Parks Department, they've sent out a survey a couple times, and it's mostly about use of the parks, but they ask the public, you know, what's more important to them, like a baseball field or a natural path or things like that. We could maybe get some information from them.
And we just have to figure out how to get things in front of them.
Yeah.
They have a gimmick too. Like, remember when Heather was on the commission and she passed out native plant seedlings at the table in the farmer's market, and that drew a lot of people. I don't know. I'm not saying that necessarily, but something.
Well, we could do that easy enough, but it's a little late for collecting seeds. We'd have to buy the seeds. And we can do that. We have some money if Scott will let us spend any of it. You know, we could be collecting our own if we had known in the fall. Now we could certainly do it this coming fall, but you know, we can buy seeds, and we've got a whole pile of those little manila envelopes that are about this big left over from that.
She's in Australia currently, Julian Field. I've definitely been impressed by her ability to outreach, and basically that's sort of her function. With now the Parks Department.
Who?
Jillian Field.
Oh, yeah, she's kind of the outreach person.
And but again, it ties in so much. MC Irish and the Parks Department tie in so much to the habitat and activity. It's, to me, it's, and also Christy Lindbergh and utilities. The flood control, mulching, et cetera, et cetera. There's so much. City government is a matrix, and there's so many interrelated things that where we should be working across the departments and commissions and helping each other.
I think at this time, everybody's had a pretty good opportunity to suggest an item for the board. Are there any others before we kind of close it out?
Well, can we just, I don't know if I should vote for like my number one for one of my 1, 2, and 3 as these individual things, or if I should just vote for outreach, a big time outreach program.
I mean, I do figure that we should vote the way we've always voted, even though it seems like nearly all of these can be done. So it won't be like a, hey, here's our big couple winners. It'll be
Right.
I thought too. I don't think there isn't enough to vote. They all look worth doing, and we can probably do them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would suggest on the electric lawn equipment. Oh no, it says equipment. You were very smart, because I was going to throw in leaf blowers in there too. Never mind.
And I gathered from the last ECOS meeting, they now have one of their members is in the IU trying to green energy things of looking into replacing fossil fuel powered equipment with battery electric equipment. Dennis is,
Are you proposing just to vote then everybody to see if we just want to do outreach one and not go through all the other voting?
Well, usually we go around, we'll go up to the board and write 1, 2, or 3. Whatever you say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it probably still serves a function to vote, even though we can try to achieve any and all of them. It kind of lets us know what we collectively believe is the highest of priorities, I suppose. Yeah, I don't see any reason why we can't try to accomplish a whole heap of these. So, but I, for one, would still be down to vote.
Should we vote separately for things like revamping outreach programs and promote the habitat connectivity plan? Or like, can we say that revamping outreach includes promoting the habitat connectivity plan?
That was like
promoting electric lawn
something that makes it
and
hard.
volunteer events for the public, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe volunteer events could be separate.
The only different one is updating the reports. I guess you could even call that outreach.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really do anything.
I guess someone mentioned that we don't need to vote on the team coordination. Should I just raise that and assume that we should make that a priority?
Good point.
Well, we could do what Matt suggested and vote like we've always voted. And my inclination would be that everybody would put revamping outreach as #1. And then under number 2 and number 3 would be what our priorities for the outreach group might be.
Yeah, you know, traditionally when we voted, we basically each picked 3. But however we decide the best way to do it, tally marks, whatever.
And then tally marks when it's not a 1, 2, or 3. Okay.
Right, but then I do think, you know, putting your numbers next to your highest priority ones doesn't exclude anything, especially since some of them have some overlap or are essentially the same concept but worded differently. And when I suggested that there's no real need to vote for keeping air quality working group because I don't think it's under threat, I still stand by that. Or coordinating with the city to avoid overlap, I think we're going to try to do that regardless. But still, this is an opportunity to say, I think this is really important. That's why I'm putting my however many marks next to it. So I don't see a reason why we couldn't accomplish all or nearly all of them up there, but I do still think it serves a purpose to say, well, this is my 3 points, this is my 2 points, this is my 1 point. And yeah, I'd like to do even more than that, but here's the biggest ones in my eyes.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
I'll put some tabs.
as it's a little, yeah, the three tally marks for one for your favorite because it's trying to gain the most points. 2 tally marks for your number 2 and 1 tally mark for your number 3. And everybody should pretty much just do it instead of watching and making it weird.
Okay. Got the tallies.
Got mine.
And now we're all just watching, right?
Yeah.
Not sure I'm about it.
Is this a commission only thing? Yeah, this is a commission only thing, right? Yeah.
If you want to get on up there.
Not being crazy. Double check the counts.
It's not a coordinated effort.
Great job writing. You underwater really translate that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fully read it all from my core, but it's legible. At least it's like them. I think I would be like all over the place, but yeah.
It's just your welcome.
It was, it's even update review reports. That seems like a thing we're going to do, no matter how many votes it gets. And realize you still vote for it to say, hey, this is important to me. I want to know where we are on reports. But
It'll be interesting to see next time if we decide that the habitat connectivity working group is still separate.
yes, I'm looking at this as a deficit, not as we're, removing anything from contention as a, this is stuff that we'd really like to look back on next January and say, we worked on these, because some of them, like the volunteer event for the public on what's next to, that's something that if part of the goal is to get a lot of participation at something, we need to start on it sooner than later. Even if the event is later in the year. Do you want to vote? Vote if you want to.
Want to vote on that?
Oh, look under that table.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there was an aluminum can in there. Yeah.
But there's a recycling bin right next to it.
For shame.
Oh, Coach.
I was gonna say our first outreach could be signs on the trash. But then that might be deep house. Oh. Yeah, we get difficult. We did just get an email yesterday that boards and commissions are accepting applications and Beach House has open.
Responsible.
If anyone wants to overlap.
I would take some home, as I already ate.
Oh, wow.
Betsy, thank you again.
Good job.
Thank you. Did you get it, or did Matt, does Matt need to cut his head off?
No, I made it at 0.5. So
Well, I don't know. I think that was a great exercise, and I think unless there's anything else anyone wants to add, we can say that sums up bucket list discussion and new business. More info to come. Plenty of emails probably about working group and who wants to be on it and figuring things out here. But I suppose at this time we can move on to reports. First would be tree commission.
Trumping.
Oh yeah, take your time. We're ready when you are.
Well, I sent you the minutes of the December meeting, but let me mention a few things off of it. We had a fellow from the engineering department talking about West First Street reconstruction, going from college out to Maple. They're going to make for a narrower road, larger sidewalks, and larger tree plots. And it's all related to the redevelopment of the hospital and the Hopewell area.
That wasn't that weirdo named Patrick, was it?
Excuse me?
That wasn't that weirdo engineer named Patrick, was it?
A guy named, a guy,
You did that?
a guy named Matt Smith first.
Yes, okay. It was a joke.
Patrick.
I see. Okay. This involved removing 21 trees that were being replaced with 84 new ones. Trees are being removed because of utility conflicts, and larger trees will be removed that are generally in poor health or they're cattle repairs. And construction will begin in February and go on into spring and summer of this year. The Urban Forestry Report commented that they've removed approximately 250 trees this year. A lot of those probably cattle repairs. They're currently working on problem areas, removing cattle repairs from Jackson Creek School area and Butler West area, and planting fruit trees in the Butler area and new gardens. Pruning around 840 trees and planting 370 up to 400 maybe for the year. The IU update from Mia was the tree planting was complete for the year in December, let's hope. 2 additional trees will be planted after the current snow issue is over, it says, whatever that was. Oh, they had a success story with Indiana Department of Environmental Transport because up at where Pete Ellis Drive meets, what is it, 10th Street, and you go across and it becomes Discovery Parkway. At that intersection, NDOT will compensate IU, which has some land there, for 27 trees that are removed in the area, with paying them $45,000, and that's approved by the IU trustees. Old business included approval of the finalized tree lists. It says we'll go to Linda and then to UDO, and this is editable for next year. They'll revisit it and rebuild next fall. And for new business, Laura Cornell, who has been the head of the commission, is no longer going to be on it. I don't know if she's resigned or just wasn't reappointed or what. And Damian will not be on the commission either. It says that I will take on the Damian's role, and actually I asked my wife to apply for a position on it since she's a PhD forester and was at the forestry department of the University of Kentucky for about 30 years. So I think she'd be a good member of the tree commission. And the last thing on the list is that the next big task will be to revise the tree care manual, remove qualification for healthy trees that's required to be replaced due to removal for construction. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. So anyway, that was what happened in December. Usually the tree commission meets before we do, except in strange months where Thursday is the first day of the month, or actually comes before Monday. And this month, because the tree commission meeting would have been on Martin Luther King Day, they put it off until this coming Monday. So we will be meeting this coming Monday.
If I can throw something else in there, I've been working on a new plant list for the UVO and have been in close contact with the Tree Commission and with Haskell. And they've given me some really good suggestions, even though we butted heads a little bit on native versus non-native. But I just wanted to mention that they've been working on that with me.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Dave, for the report. Next, we have Monroe County Environmental Commission. Yep.
That's me, and I will say first, I'm a bit behind because they have not posted recordings or minutes in a year. But from their agenda, one big thing that I think is relevant to us is Monroe County applied for funds through ARPA, so the American Rescue Plan Act. And the specific ones related to environmental investments are refurbishment of the retention pond, assistance for updating septic systems in the county, solar projects where they've been trying to expand solar usage, particularly in county-owned buildings, and then quote, undefined investment. No more information on that one. And something else that might be of interest is the upcoming Indiana Sustainability and Resilience Conference, which will be taking place Friday, February 17th at IUPUI. That's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I looked at that and I don't think any of it's online, so you would have to go to Indianapolis to have something to do with it.
Next, we'd have a report from BCOS, Bloomington Commission on Sustainability.
I think the most important things to me from the BCOS meeting was the fact that they are have worked on with multiple city departments as well as county, IU Health, and IU on what to do in a heat emergency. That seemed they're again going to continuing their efforts on equity and environmental issues, social equity, environmental justice type stuff. And the third thing, of course, was the discussion of in the meeting about reaching out to the community as a whole, as well as the other commissions that have skin in the game on sustainability and the environment, which I assume means us. So I was, they basically ended up a meeting sort of like this with discussing ideas of what, but there was quite a bit of discussion. As I was happy about the fact that they seemed to be more open than sometimes in the past about getting help from working collaboratively. So I think that's a positive trend. Could I just go on and get into MC Iverson?
We'll keep it in order for now. Okay. Thank you for that report, though. Do we have? Is this one of the months where we have one from ERAC? Or is it...
Well, yeah, as I tell you, every other month.
That's right.
ERAC meets every 2 months, and they met one day before our last meeting, and I reported it on at that time. So I don't know when the next meeting will be, but nothing to report right now.
Good deal. Next would be MPO CAC. I think that was Sam, who's not here. So we'll move on to Friends of Lake Monroe.
Nothing new there.
And so, yeah, it turns out you can continue into MC Iris.
Yeah, the MC Iris in November, December, they continued their efforts with primarily with city parks, with the Winslow Sports Complex and Lower Cascades. And again, this month we are continuing with Lower Cascades, and we'll see if I assume this Saturday they'll be at it again at Lower Cascades. Kind of an observation, just to volunteering with MCRS, I mean, is fairly strenuous, and we had a close call last Saturday. One of our volunteers had a medical incident. We were very fortunate that one of the other volunteers is a physician. And so collectively, we got the involved individual down from the hill on the canyon by the waterfall, and called in for ambulance and had response by both fire and the Bloomington hospital's ambulance people. It turned out okay. He apparently just overdid it physically, and ambulance people drove him back, and he was able to drive home. But it is a reminder that people who volunteer do contribute a significant amount of work and some risk. And reality, yeah, and I could have pulled out of, I think, one of the Park Department reports about how many, there's a number of some metric, and I forgot to write it down and bring it with. But yeah, we're making a dent, and but it's a combined effort. And again, we had a lot of high school IU students as well that are contributing, which is impressive.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that report as well, Don. That concludes reports, and we move on to commissioner announcements. And if we want to hear anybody have a commissioner announcement? Hey.
Don reminded me by talking about the MD that you had in your group of trekking in Nepal back in 1986. One of the people in our group of about 14 trekkers, I think, was an MD. And the only issue that came up the whole time that I can remember was that one of the women got a leech in her private parts, and the doctor dealt with that.
I know.
Pet sound.
They're so nasty.
Anyone else with announcements today?
I wanted to remind the people who I emailed that when the ones that their term is over at the end of January to reapply. And somebody asked me for the link, and I got sidetracked and then I forgot. So try to remember to send that link tomorrow.
You just go to the Environmental Commission's webpage. Since there is a vacancy, you can just click on the vacancy button, you can apply.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what I did.
Oh, okay. I was gonna go through this rigmarole.
Right, because I don't know the link, but I know one button on our own website and you're filling it out saying.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds easy enough, doesn't it?
If you got city emails, it came yesterday as well.
The city's clerk's office has the same option. I think that's what I did.
I've got a whole list of boards and commissions that are looking for people. And I didn't come up with the tree commission that time. The environmental commission, it said that there was one opening, so.
It's a council appointment.
Further commissioner announcements?
This is kind of
Go ahead.
this is kind of indirectly related, but I've been following COVID cases real closely, and average cases per day right now is less than 10% what it was last year. It was spiking last year and it's declining this year. So it's positive.
That's great.
One thing that I did remember is the White House released new guidance on NEPA. So NEPA is like the National Environmental Protection Act, specifically related to permitting for construction projects. So they released guidance, not law, but it's kind of like a strong recommendation to include greenhouse gas analyses and all of that permitting. So that is trickling down to all federal agencies. And so subsequently all contracted consultants will be required to do that too. Maybe not required, but strongly recommended. So that's exciting because all construction projects will start to have some greenhouse gas analysis aspect.
It'd be cool if that becomes a standard practice.
Yeah, it's not super strong, but hopefully they can get it in some sort of requirement in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and the protection of wetlands went away under Trump and it has come back again to some extent anyway. So,
I have a couple announcements. One of them is to sort of repeat something I suggested earlier. Sign up for or try for chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, something. Even if you're relatively new, even if you're worried about what they are, you can ask those of us who have been in those positions. Most of them really aren't that intimidating. Chair is the only one that's a big responsibility. But now that we've got our little election committee here, shoot Dave or Mike an email and run for one of those positions. Second announcement I was going to make was thank you everyone for the food. I enjoyed having food and cookies at my meeting today. Don, another announcement?
When if anybody has some time next Saturday, this Saturday, 1 o'clock at Board Cascades at the large pavilion. It's going to be chilly, but above freezing. And it's supposed to be at least partly sunny. We're chipping away at Lower Cascades. And again, that's one of our orders.
That's MCI.
Further announcements?
That's MCI, right?
It's a joint NCIRS and Park Department.
Great. Thank you.
Seeing no other announcements, we will adjourn at 7:15. Thank you everybody for being here.